and I am realizing that there are things that I want in my life and in my space, and there are things that I don't want, I understand now that discernment is very, very important. Because if I don't have discernment, I'm just going to be up in the wind and doing whatever. Just because this person is nice and they present themselves well doesn't mean that they are a good person or they are meant to be your friend. Sometimes we just have interactions with people. We're not going to end up being friends with everyone. Just because you find someone attractive or you have a crush on them, it doesn't mean you must act on it. Okay, all right. And I really didn't understand. I never used to get it. Whenever I would hear, it doesn't mean that when something is readily available, then you should use it. I would just be like, why then? Why is it in front of me? Why is it sitting in front of me? But yeah, having the ability to discern will give you an opportunity to see when something is not for you. Ask yourself, is what people are doing going to benefit me? Does it in any way fit into my life, into what I am trying to do in my life, where I'm trying to go? Ask yourself questions. It's so important. Don't just go with whatever. Please don't just go with whatever. Hi, community. Welcome back to A Couple. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope we are all doing good. I hope the first 2 weeks now of Jan have been good to you, in terms of you resting, settling into the year well. Some people are back at work. I know for students, you guys only go back, what, next month in Feb. Yeah, for varsity students. If you are going to be on holiday still, or you are going to be at home still, I hope you're going to take the time to relax and get ready to get into the year and to do it well. Yeah. So, in this week's episode, I really wanted to talk about discernment and its importance. The Oxford definition of discernment is the ability to judge well. In general, discernment is accurately evaluating ourselves, people, and situations. We discern things correctly by clearly perceiving what is true, right, and essential. Dictionary.com defines discernment as the faculty of discerning, discrimination, acuteness of judgment, and understanding. And then the Cambridge.org definition of discernment is the ability to judge people and things well. And according to the King James Bible Dictionary, discerning is to examine, prove, or test, and then it says scrutinize. So, when you clearly perceive something, you are seeing it for what it is without any bias. And I guess that can be difficult sometimes because we are human beings. But I like to think of discernment, I think of discernment now. And I see it as a muscle that needs to be exercised. It needs to be a daily choice, daily decision, daily effort that you're going to make to see things for what they are. And to be more intentional about having less bias, I guess, and not being as biased towards things. Really having the right judgment, and having just a clear mind when you are going to approach situations, people, opportunities, spaces. We're human, right? Of course, we have biases, but when you are able to discern and you strengthen it, or you strengthen that ability, you are going to be able to tell wrong from right and choose to follow what is right. It's going to be easier for you and you won't be easily influenced. I know, whenever I've come across anyone who's got a strong sense of discernment and who knows not to just sort of stop what they're doing because of the crowd is doing what the crowd is doing, who aren't constantly jumping onto trends, whether it's beauty trends, whether it's health trends, whether it's even an emotional trend, like who are able to see a thing for what it is and to be able to say this is actually not for me. I've struggled with discernment for a very long time. I have been just a crowd drifter. I just came up with that. But just doing what everybody else does has always just been the thing to do. It's always been cooler. And yeah, I always say that now that I'm getting older and I am realizing that there are things that I want in my life and in my space, and there are things that I don't want. I understand now that discernment is very, very important, because if I don't have discernment, I'm just going to be up in the wind and doing whatever. So it's really important to be able to tell what is going to work for you and to be okay with a thing not working for you. Like if it's just not your vibe, if it's not something that is part of your plans, then just leave it alone. It's important to be able to see when an opportunity is for you and when it isn't. I was listening to one of the To My Sisters episodes the other day, and Courtney and Renee were saying that just because of a door is open, it doesn't mean you should walk through it. Just because if someone is proposing their love to you, that doesn't mean that they are the person that you are meant to be with. Just because this person is nice and they present themselves well doesn't mean that they are a good person or they are meant to be your friend. Sometimes we just have interactions with people. We're not going to end up being friends with everyone. Just because you find someone attractive or you have a crush on them, it doesn't mean you must act on it. Okay, all right. And I really didn't understand. I never used to get it whenever I would hear. It doesn't mean that when something is readily available, then you should use it. I would just be like, why then? Why is it in front of me? Why is it sitting in front of me? But yeah, having the ability to discern will give you an opportunity to see when something is not for you. It will, and you'll be fine with it. Okay, sometimes maybe you'll be like, oh, that sucks that I can't follow those people or go down that road. But I mean, probably when you're good with yourself and you're secure and you know that that's not something that you're trying to do, or you know that that really isn't for you, you won't really be bothered by it, right? So yeah, I highly encourage strengthening that muscle, exercising it, developing it, because if you don't, you're gonna get so lost. You absolutely are. I cannot even count on all of my fingers. There's just too little space on both of my hands. There is too little space to put on there or to remember the times that I have been lost. I've lost count of it because I want to be like everyone else, and because I do things or I have done things in the past because they were cool or everybody else was doing it. There are just a couple of things actually that I can think of that require discernment, right? When people are doing something, so the crowd, when people are doing something on TikTok, TikTok trends. If you have TikTok, if you have social media like that, you'll know that TikTok always has a trend, one trend or another. There's something recently called the Sleepy Girl mocktail, where people are adding some cranberry juice and 2 or 3 other ingredients to it. And some people say it genuinely works, but sometimes it's not necessary for us to hop onto trends on social media. I mean, another one that I can think of that falls into the bracket of not following the crowd or being able to discern when something is for you and when something is not, and not just blindly doing what everyone else is doing, is there was something going on TikTok last year. I'm not sure if it's still happening. I'm not really seeing it anymore, where people were waking up at 4 o'clock to pray. Now, I need you to hear me loud and clear. Y'all already know I believe in God. I believe in prayer. That is my crutch. That is a huge support system for me. That is my go-to. I believe in prayer 110%. But I remember somebody else saying, I can't remember if it was a priest or if it was just like somebody with a spiritual gift. They were saying that you need to have a spirit of discernment. You should be able to discern when something is for you and when it's not. Some people are genuinely being called by God to wake up at 4 a.m. and pray. Some people are being, just like some people are being called by the Lord to fast for a number of days. That's why some people will do it without drinking water, because they received a sign from God. Some people will embark on certain things like being a missionary or being a nun. You are called to do certain things. So don't just blindly walk into things, because some people were reporting that they're like praying this prayer at this time of the night and they're losing people and they're losing things. Not so much to death, but like it's just weird endings to relationships. Somebody lost their job from engaging in this 4 a.m. prayer trend. So I think with a lot of things in our lives, but particularly because of we are a people that live in such a social media intense um crowd kind of mentality time, it's very important to be able to discern when something is actually for you. Ask yourself, is what people are doing going to benefit me? Does it in any way fit into my life, into what I am trying to do in my life, where I'm trying to go? Um, Ask yourself questions. It's so important. Don't just go with whatever. Please don't just go with whatever, please. And of course, pray about things like praying at 4 a.m. Speak to God about it. Ask him, like, is this something that I should be doing? Lead me, guide me. Just please don't go into things blindly, because as much as you might think that something is harmless just because of everyone else is doing it and it's whatever, some things are that deep. They really are, guys. So yeah, don't get consumed by trends. Trends come and go. We have seen this. We have seen how trends have come and gone for decades. As a matter of fact, for centuries now. Beauty trends, health trends, um, mindset trends. Should I call it that? Mental trends. There are all sorts of trends. So just be careful. Be careful and be mindful. Another thing is, don't get don't get sucked up with things like material or money and constantly pursuing those things. Be able to discern when this is something that you need and this is something that you don't need, when this is something that will benefit you and if it's not something that's going to benefit you. Again, we live in a world where material and money come before anything else. People are just like really 110% more than anything in this day and age that we live in, pursuing material and money and having this material power and having this accessibility. And sometimes it even overpowers a person's humility, their kindness, or their ability to be kind, their ability to be compassionate and open minded and open hearted and just like generous, because it's just about that person. It's about what they want. It's about how they're gonna get to what they are wanting. Have goals, have dreams, but don't forget to be a human being. Please don't forget to be a human being. You live amongst people. We are all human beings, and the people that you're interacting with, they have feelings, they also have dreams, and they have desires. So yeah, like don't be willing to get the bag at any cost, to make some money at any cost, to get things done quickly. This instant gratification is also like very blinding, and instant gratification will have you losing your mind and not thinking properly, not thinking straight. Yeah, don't live beyond your means as well. Like I used to be deep in that. And it's not just living beyond your means financially, right? Because that's the immediate thing we think about when we think about living beyond your means. I'm talking about your mental and emotional capacity as well. I spoke about boundaries in the previous episode and how I have struggled for a long time to create boundaries, to implement them and reinforce them. You are 100% living beyond your means when you are always saying yes to people when you should be saying no, when you cannot discern between when you have the capacity and when you don't, you know? So discernment will also come in very handy when it comes to creating boundaries, when it comes to who you allow into your space, when it comes to what you can give, what you can't give, what you should be giving, what you shouldn't be giving. We also need discernment when it comes to helping us open our hearts, because sometimes you are being put in a position where you need to give your time. Maybe you need to give your resources, teach someone something. Maybe you need to give more financial resources like money. Maybe someone's on your payroll, or you are helping a friend out financially, or you are helping a family member out financially, and you actually can afford to give them a little bit more. And now you need to really sit down and be able to see that, okay, this is something that I need to be doing right now. I need to open my heart and be more giving, or to be able to say to yourself, yeah, I've been in the wrong, I have been selfish, I haven't been very giving. There again, discernment. And I think discernment will also help hold you accountable. You hold yourself accountable. It's easier for you to do that because you know what's up. Like, you know when you're wrong, you know when you're right, you know when you are stepping in the right direction, and you know when you are just doing the wrong thing. Yeah, like, I think we just need to just be very mindful. Be mindful, be careful. um Sometimes I worry that the times that we are living in, and the people that we become in the times that we are living in, because human beings, we have the ability, and we are able to adjust to environments, to the times that we're living in, to the climate that we are in, socially, economically. Not so much, not really. Economically is a different story, but socially, yeah, we are able to adjust and so forth. And sometimes what you might think is not that deep is actually very, 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 very deep. um so yeah, just don't force things. I think that's another big thing. Do not force a thing that is not meant to be. When a friendship is not meant to be, it's not. When a job is not meant to be, it's not. When an opportunity is not happening, it's just not. And let it go. Release it. It's not yours to keep, to hold on to fight for. Leave it alone, right? Again, we have to give ourselves time as well. Have you had an opportunity, have you given yourself an opportunity rather, to think a bit further about the thing that you're trying to engage in? Like, have you given yourself some time to be able to say, okay, I'm going to sit down and see this thing for what it is, the pros and the cons. um am I compatible with this thing, opportunity, this job, this person? Am I staying committed to what I am wanting for myself? Like, am I looking at it clearly? You know, um, I'm actually thinking about right now something else, that just because all of the Christians are doing it or believe in it, then it doesn't mean that you should as well. Like, there are so many things to be questioned. And again, discernment, bringing in discernment, we have to look at things, all things. It doesn't mean because of it falls under the Christian religion, or because of someone says that this is what it says in the Bible, then it should be just easily believed. Because people use the Bible to suit them, to suit their own people use the Bible to suit their own narratives all the time. People twist and turn and misuse God's will, God's asks of humanity all the time So it doesn't mean that because of it's coming from the church, or it comes from a priest, or it comes from someone who says they follow Christ, and on the outside it looks like it is that way, it doesn't mean that it's the right thing, right? When it says, according to the definitions that I read out, that discernment is the ability to judge well. When you are judging well, you need to have all the information available at hand. And when you can see that the information is limited or it's looking a bit questionable, then you are able to say, I ain't going down that road. I ain't going down that line. That's not something that I'm going to be engaging in. It's not something I'm going to be indulging in. So, yeah, we've got to question things. We've got to wonder about things. We have got to judge things well with the full amount of information, or the full body of information available to us. Look into things, investigate them. When somebody quotes a Bible verse and then says, and this is why you will be punished if you don't do this, go and read it for yourself. Go look in the Bible for yourself. Because really, from what I know, according to my understanding, according to my knowledge, at no point in time has the God that I serve, the God that I believe in, been an abuser, been someone who uses his word to justify wrong things. You know, the Bible truly is the book of life, the closest thing we will ever have to a book of life. And no one should be using it to twist and turn and change things around to suit themselves. All right? So, yeah, you know, God gives us choices. We have free will. We aren't forced to choose what is right for us. We really can do whatever we want. You don't have to. You don't have to. Contrary to popular belief, also, God does not punish us for the choices that we make. He really isn't like that. And being in real relationship with him, not what other people say about him, I have firsthand experienced it. What happens though is when you make the wrong choice, or when you do not have a good spirit of discernment and go for whatever has come your way and not what God was instructing you or instructs you to do, or what you were actually meant to do or choose, my mom calls them standing orders. There will be an outcome. Like when you do wrong, when you don't adhere, there are going to be consequences to that. And if you made the wrong choice, then you will be on the receiving end of it. And if you make a good choice, then you will be on the receiving end of that too. Just life in general is like that. Just it really is. If you are someone who has experienced, we all have, uh the consequences of your bad actions, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you've done something wrong, you are going to get a wrong not a wrong outcome. You're gonna get exactly what you've given. That's it, period. You're just gonna get what you've given. God is kind and gentle, and in disciplining his children, he does not condemn, he corrects, and with love and mercy. So if you feel like you're being punished for making a poor choice, that's probably not what's happening. um God doesn't hate his children. Sometimes it's also just that really critical voice in your head trying to shame you and make you feel like you're getting this big punishment for being bad. We all make mistakes, man. This is life. You're gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm probably gonna make more mistakes in the future. Obviously not intentionally. Okay, I really don't know what's gonna happen, but I don't want to make any bad choices that I know are bad, you know? Discernment. Discernment. I'm not trying to get myself in weird situations anymore. When you can see a thing for what it is, that's what it is. That's what it is, right? It is so important to see things for what they are, and to, in the first place, want to see things for what they are, not what best suits your ideas or what feels good, because that really isn't the best place to be making decisions from. If the flag is red, then it is. If you're not compatible with that person or people, then you aren't. If it is evident that you're going down the wrong path in life, then that's the way it is. If you have made some poor choices and decided to do your own thing when you should have done things differently, then the consequences you are experiencing are not punishment, but rather the outcome of the choices that you willingly made. Having a strong sense of spirit of discernment is so important. It really is like a muscle that needs to be exercised, and I've mentioned this, a daily effort. I also believe that when we are able to discern between what is good and what is for us and what isn't, it saves so much time, because you'll probably never have to spend an additional amount of time working on getting back on track. You know, that thing that happens if you don't study, right, and you fail a test. Now you're gonna have to work extra hard to make up for all of those marks. But imagine what would have happened if you'd studied in the beginning and had a timetable and prepared, you know, like properly prepared. You wouldn't be in a position where you're trying to make up for marks now and you're under pressure. Yeah, it encourages you to stay focused and to choose what actually works for you and what actually applies to your life. I appreciate how much authenticity there ends up being, not just with you, but in your life in general. Authentic people, authentic encounters, authentic opportunities, authentic experiences, because you know what to say yes to and what to say no to. You even know what to walk away from or to say goodbye to, and what to hold on to and what to work on. You know what I mean? Whether it's on the inside of you or whether it is in your relationships with other people. So take it upon yourself daily. Even right now, ask yourself, have I examined, proved, or tested this? Is it truly for me? Does it apply to my life or actually fit in with what I am trying to be here? What I'm trying to do here or to be. Very, very important. Discernment, already, I'm taking things very seriously in my life. I really am. And I can say for certain, like very confidently, that I started embracing discernment and like really sitting down before I make decisions, big or small. And just thinking about what I'm doing. It's made such a difference in my life already, and I can see the difference. It's very evident. And although some things are really not that deep, some things really are, and we really need to be mindful of those very deep things. So, yeah, prioritize discernment, prioritize asking yourself if this actually works for you, and yeah, be okay with focusing on the little details sometimes, because they will make a huge difference at the end of the day. Yeah. Um this is where we are ending this week's episode. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed that. I really appreciate the support. I appreciate the love. Thank you. The community continues to grow. The support continues to grow. I hope that the Lord would bless each and every one of you abundantly, more than you can imagine. If you are wanting to share the link, share any link for any platform with anyone, please let them know that if they just want like a snippet, you know, just a teensy taste before they officially jump aboard, before they join the community, they can head over onto TikTok. The handle is at a cupful pod, and just listen, because I post snippets of the episodes on there. And yeah, then obviously if they're interested, then you can let them know that they can listen to A Cupful on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on Google Podcast, Amazon Music, really, Castbox, all of the listening platforms, most of the listening platforms. Oh, and Spotify, of course. Thank you again. Thank you again. Please have a lovely remainder of this week. Rest when you need to, work when you need to. Look in the mirror and say nice things to yourself, okay? Take good care of yourself. Love on yourself. Love on your loved ones. And most importantly, please don't forget to keep doing the things that fill your cup.